Goku versus Superman, the final answer. I'm real excited about this one, guys. A lot of you know I've been on a journey to learn about Dragon Ball Z, and little videos like this are really fun to take a look at now that I've got a little bit more knowledge. Let's check it out.
If you've only gotten into power scaling recently or simply weren't on the internet 10 plus years ago, it's kind of hard to describe how absolutely omnipresent the debate of Goku versus Superman used to be.
I don't even think I understood that sentence. I'm gonna have a hard time with this video, guys. I guess he just means people talk about this battle a lot. I think that's what he's saying.
Death battles to epic rap battles and animations, it was the go-to power scaling debate. And even from the very beginning, represented more than just two characters fighting, but was about all of anime versus all of comics. However, for a while, this debate started to fizzle out as more debates and characters began to become popular.
Wait. So is this video not necessarily about the two of them fighting, but the two of them in like their element, like who is greater? I don't know. Remember, guys, if you want to check out my journey of learning about Dragon Ball Z, every Sunday I have Dragon Ball Z related videos coming out. Subscribe!
Well, since the early 2010s, Goku and Superman have gotten massively stronger and are stronger than they have ever been, despite being a power scaling channel with a focus on Dragon.
As a Superman fan, I actually don't like that. I prefer a powered down Superman. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mean like Spider-Man power, but I mean like I prefer a powered down Superman. I don't like it when he's just like a I don't even know, like where he can just do whatever he wants, basically. And they add new powers all the time. I hate that too. I like what made him famous in the first place.
Dragon Ball, I've never actually talked about or shared my opinion on this topic. So
this
week, with James Gunn's Superman coming out, I can't think of a more perfect opportunity to give my...
Put in the comments if you think James Gunn's Superman was a good representation of Superman in general. I have my opinions.
Most honest analysis of who wins between the strongest Saiyan of anime and the most powerful Kryptonian of comics. Goku versus Superman. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's jump right into something special.
Now, the one thing I've learned so far about Goku versus Superman is that Goku does something Superman doesn't really. Goku constantly levels up his power and can, beyond leveling up his power, he can do the actual leveling up of like going Saiyan and Super Saiyan and all that. Whereas Superman, he can't really do that. He can get like sun dipped, but that's not really normal. And in some versions of canon, it kills him, So it's like, he has his power level, whereas Goku can constantly grow and get stronger to beat the next power level, which isn't really in Superman.
This video, I will be using the most recent and up-to-date canonical versions of Goku and Superman. So that means the anime/manga version of Goku from Dragon Ball.
Other than the fact, I just realized that they constantly are growing Superman's power over time because they're lazy writers, and they're like, well, we better make him more powerful. Well, we better make him fight something even more powerful than him. I hate that cycle. I hate
Super and the current post-rebirth version of Superman from DC Comics. For this video, I'll be going over their power progression, feats, and relevant cosmology to give you the best overall picture of their power as I possibly can. Just know that due to how much Goku and Superman content there is out there are plenty of other ways to scale them. With all of that understood...
True. For instance, there's over 90 years of almost 90 years of Superman content, and I haven't even read the new Rebirth stuff yet. Guys, I love Golden Age stuff, and I'm always reading old stuff, and I reread things that I like, So I have Road to Rebirth I haven't read yet. I have it. I need to read it. Need to do it.
Let's begin with the Man of Steel himself, Superman. Now, for the longest time, scaling Superman was an absolute mess due to the constantly changing continuities and cosmology of DC Comics. Superman the character had been rebooted multiple times between the Golden, Silver Age, Crisis events, and New 52, each time becoming a technically brand new character with his own independent scaling that did not inherently make him as strong as previous incarnations.
Right, I kind of like that.
For example, a feat of Superman breaking through the limits of infinity in an old comic did not necessarily scale to the current Superman because they were literally different guys. However, due to recent changes in DC Comics, this is no longer an issue. You see, the event Dark Knight's Death Metal was a soft reboot of DC, establishing parts of the cosmology that had formerly been removed, but more importantly, combined all memories and experiences of characters from all previous incarnations into their present versions.
All right, I get why they do that. You got a lot of longtime comic fans that get ticked off when the stuff that they grew up on gets kicked out the door. But I don't really like it. I would rather reboot and forget everything. I would rather that than to have a continuous thing because, like I said, Superman's got almost 90 years. There, you don't get it all. Like the people that thought the Ultra Humanite was great, they're dead. So nobody even knows who that is. You know what I mean? People don't realize that the first version of Metallo was a dude that drank super serum and wore a metal suit. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody even knows some of this stuff from back then. So I think it's best to just reboot it and tell it your own way. But I get it ticks off some people that are keeping the comics industry alive.
In other words, this Superman, at least mentally and experience-wise, is literally every single mainline Superman that has ever come before. Now, this wouldn't necessarily correlate to power, except for the fact that this brand new reborn Superman has repeatedly stated that his mind and body are both stronger than they have ever been before, and things like distance, matter, and space-time are mostly meaningless to him, meaning that this Superman, if it wasn't obvious, scales to literally any other feat that a mainline Superman has ever done that you've ever heard of. Lifting the Book of Infinite Pages, sneezing away a solar system, flying through time, all of these feats would be surpassed even casually by the current day Superman.
See, I don't like that. I've never liked the ultimate power Superman. I also don't like Superman with other characters, though. I prefer solo Superman stories. That's partly why I'm a Golden Age guy, I guess. But I really hate it when they just OP to the max.
This long history, Superman is consistently depicted at the bare minimum.
Although that is cool,
universal. There have been numerous feats across Superman's history of tanking explicitly.
That's cool when he fights those two gods or whatever.
Universal attacks,
Samson.
beating universe busters, literal universes, or Superman himself threatening to destroy entire space-time continuums with his own power. I say consistently because, like any comic book character, Superman has showings and feats that are either drastically exceeding or substantially less impressive than those feats. However, over the years, we've been given a multitude of explanations as to why Superman's strength may seemingly vary. Sometimes it's just that he's holding back. Other times it's because he's not in the proper mental state to harness his abilities, and other times he's simply not experiencing enough stress, which allows him to absorb even more solar energy and make himself strong.
I don't think I've heard that. Huh. I don't think I'd ever heard that before. The amount of stress that he has affects how well he absorbs solar energy.
Therefore, any
It's kind of like adrenaline, you know?
Superman feat that caps him below Universal was Clark just not being locked in enough. And again, either way, current Superman would necessarily scale above those feats. Frankly though, if Superman was only a universe buster, I wouldn't be making this video. There are a multitude of feats and showings that get Kal-El far higher. Now, I could spend literal hours going over every single possible feat for Superman over the last 80 years of history, but instead I'm going to focus on a couple of feats and statements Superman has gone in the past couple of years or so, starting with the Phantom Zone. Now, the Phantom Zone, as you may know, is usually used as a prison outside of reality where Superman or other characters can send threats that can't be contained anywhere else. But it's actually
I love that pig-nosed Phantom Zone projector.
Actually far more impressive than that. To make an incredibly convoluted, constantly changing, and evolving cosmology as simple as possible, this is the map of the DC multiverse that is still being pretty consistently followed and literally shown in recent comics. The big circle in the middle is the entire DC multiverse made of physical matter as we understand it. While it does say there are 52 universes there, it's been further expanded upon that there are indeed an infinite number, and that these 50...
I mean, that's just science. You know, even though we have no way to prove it, that is just string theory. You know what I'm saying?
Specifically are just connected via a vibrational frequency as a quote-unquote local multiverse.
I do want to read more about Valzad. I've only got a little bit of him that I've read. I have a comic or so.
As stated by writers both in and out of comics, each and every one of these universes are made up of an infinite amount of higher and lower spatial dimensions, which are not to be confused
or Calvin Ellis, I don't know,
with alternate universes. All of these places are below the next level of the cosmology, which is the God Sphere, with numerous places within the God Sphere being stated to be beyond the bounds of space, time, and the concept of place entirely. It is here where the negative zone resides, having its own statements that it is infinite, endless, boundless, without dimensions, timeless, and distanceless. Superman in older comics was already able to overpower characters like Dominus, who could make his own Phantom Zone. And more recently, Superman outright shakes the Phantom Zone and states that he could destroy the entire Phantom Zone if he wanted to, but ultimately chooses against it. In other words, Superman can already destroy spaces that are limitless and beyond the limitations of an infinite dimensional structure. But if we like, we can go even further.
Yeah, see, I don't hate OP Superman. I read, those kind of stories and I like them, But my preferred Superman is much more Golden Age. Still OP, but not so much, you know.
Back to the cosmology
And I say Golden Age, I mean early Golden Age.
map again, you can see at the very furthest boundaries that there is a white void called the Source, which is separated from reality by something known as the Source Wall. The Source is one of the highest powers of creation in DC, being beyond everything we've already talked about. Once again, being boundless with the Source.
I think Superman used to take villains out to the Source Wall. That may be on my comic wall here. Y'all can't see out of frame. I might have the Source Wall somewhere over here. I think it is.
Wall itself already being beyond every prior mentioned reality and dimension existing before all of it, which would again include the Phantom Zone. This is important because Superman in various contexts has fought, beaten, or overpowered characters empowered by the Source or something similar. He's beaten Metallo while powered by a Source-fueled Mother Box, punched a Brainiac who had literally traveled beyond the Source, has fought and beaten multiple characters powered by the anti-life equation, which is literally the yin to the yang of the Source, and has affected the Source Wall in and of itself on multiple occasions. Now, I can keep going, bringing up other aspects of the cosmology like hypertime, the 5th and 6th dimensions, or the bleed, or talk about Superman's more specific fights against characters like the New Gods, or showings against beings like the World Forger, or talk about feats of other DC characters that have their own scaling that should all be inferior to Superman. But it gets to a point where
that's a good point. Their own scaling that should all be inferior to Superman, which again shows you how powerful Superman is.
Becomes repetitive. Hopefully from everything I've said, I've painted a pretty clear picture of what Superman is truly capable of. If you like Superman, let me know any of his crazy feats or scales that I missed and tell me how strong you think he is. Still, the Man of Steel isn't invincible, so can he beat Goku though?
Now, yeah, it's kind of hard to believe that he's not invincible after hearing all that. This is where my knowledge, I need the help of you guys because I don't know nearly as much, but I am learning about Goku. That's one thing I've learned is that he can continually scale actively, like Superman scales through canon. He scales like that's his whole purpose, to continue getting more powerful.
Now, how can I possibly talk about Son Goku? Despite being a manga character that only has one original text to draw from, in modern times, talking about the power of Goku is nearly as complicated as talking about Superman. Do you mean manga or anime Goku? The anime with or without filler? Right. Does that include the movies? Is that both the Super and Z movies? What about the video games?
Okay, you guys don't get it as bad as the Superman fans, but yeah, it does. It sucks, doesn't it? Because it's like you realize your favorite hero, they don't even really have a true canon that you can point to and be like, yeah, this is him. Like me, I'm a Golden Age guy. So when I talk about stuff, people tell me, you're wrong. I'm like, I'm not wrong. I prefer a version that is correct, but different from the one that you like. There's a difference there.
Even literally this week, as I was writing this video, Toyotaro, the illustrator and part writer of the Dragon Ball Super manga, stated that he likes to think that everything official is more or less canon, but that even he isn't the one who decides what is canon to Dragon Ball. And
official, isn't it all official, or is he talking about like fan-made stuff? What does that mean?
That fans should decide for themselves what is or isn't canon. He even brings up Dragon Ball Online, something made way before Dragon Ball Super that contradicts pretty much every other series, as something that he personally thinks is canon to himself. So overall, don't think too hard about it. For this video, I'm going to be sticking to the things that at some point have been referred to as part of some sort of official history or original work, which would be the Z into Super continuity of both the anime and manga. So no movies, GT, Daima, or video game scaling, with only the latter having any scaling that's better than Super anyways. With that being said, let's begin.
Let's go.
Of all manga and anime, one of the best things about Dragon Ball is how relatively stable and progressive the power scaling is between arcs. Long before the era of Versus Battle Wiki Tears, Toriyama was pretty clearly escalating the stakes between arcs by having increasingly large celestial bodies be at stake. Goku almost always finishing the arc far stronger than when he started it.
See, that is cool about Goku. That's one thing that I like about Goku that I don't want in Superman. I want Superman for his power level to be like this, and it never to change from this. You know what I'm saying? But what the way they write it is it's like this, and then over, a decade or two later, boom, it's here, and it's like, well, we got to write new stories and make him, boom. They don't do that. They do it in the sense that, yeah, he's trying to get more powerful. That's not the way Superman works. He's not like constantly trying to get more powerful, but he just gets written that way. Pick a lane, guys. Pick a lane in DC.
Almost always the new threat of the last arc gets easily beaten by the biggest threat of the new arc. In OG Dragon Ball, the top tiers were consistently blowing up the moon and threatening the destruction of the entire planet. King Piccolo defeats Roshi, who blew up the moon, only to be surpassed by Goku and Piccolo Jr.
I love the old school cartoon graphics.
In the Saiyan saga, Raditz and Nappa easily defeat the prior arc's main villain Piccolo, establishing that top tiers could easily destroy the planet with explosions so large they might be able to blow up any planet regardless of size, or maybe even destroy stars. The Namek arc continued with this trend, Vegeta getting repeatedly beaten down by Frieza and his henchmen as—
Now, all these characters are extremely powerful, right? Like, in Superman, you've got like Lex, he's not powerful. Metallo's powerful because he can weaken Superman. Parasite's powerful because he can take Superman's powers. Like, these characters, they're not finding a loophole, right? They themselves are extremely powerful as well, right?
Power levels massively escalated hundreds of times over to reach consistently into that star-busting tier, the anime version of the arc potentially concluding with beyond solar system level explosions. Frieza would return, only to be instantly cut in half by Trunks, man far weaker than the androids, who were powerless against Cell, who could blow away the solar system and threaten the existence of all life in the universe. The Buu arc would further escalate the scale of power, with the weakest form of Buu literally one-shotting Dabura, a man who was more powerful than Cell, with the stronger forms of Buu easily wielding power that could wipe out the entire living universe and maybe even the realms beyond it.
See, that's what I'm saying. They're all Supermen. Like, all of them. It's weird.
For years, this is where Goku's power set. He was the strongest in the universe, but in a universe that wasn't really progressing. Even with the movies and continuations like Dragon Ball G.
What does he mean, a universe that wasn't really progressing? Do y'all know what that means? Like, what is he talking about?
There was no feat, in my opinion, that escalated Goku's power to a new, particularly multiversal tier. He definitely got stronger, but by the time you hit the universal level, to be anything beyond universal requires a beyond infinite increase in power, something that no amount of misinterpreted guidebooks or Super Saiyan 4 multipliers can achieve. Things would change forever, though, with the introduction of Dragon Ball Super. Even before Super had become the official name, the 2Z films of Battle of Gods and Resurrection F had already hyped up the likes of Beerus and Super Saiyan God as beyond anything that had come before, though they did not offer any impressive feats to actually back up that supposed jump. The Dragon Ball Super anime and manga righted this wrong by clearly stating and showing that Goku and Beerus' punches were
Oh, by the way, I've watched the entire story of Dragon Ball, I guess, the entire story of Dragon Ball Z, I guess, and a bunch of you are recommending that I watch the Super. I think this is, what is it, Karthu Dojo? Is that what it is? If you want me to watch his entire story of Dragon Ball Super, I guess, let me know in the comments, and I might make that one of my Sunday reaction videos.
Going to destroy not only the living universe, but literally everything else in Universe 7, including the Demon Realm, the multiple realms of the afterlife, and the Kai World, all of which are separate space-times, which are comparable to the universe. This feat is pretty much as blatant as a low multiversal feat can get, but some have argued that this feat is far beyond multiversal, mostly due to several statements about the Otherworld. Some argue that due to these statements, the Otherworld is actually an outer-versal realm that completely transcends dimensional structures based on the description page from the Dazenshu. However, pretty much every capable translation of this page does not imply this in the slightest, saying that the Otherworld is just beyond the dimensions that humans are aware of, and that the gods there can look down at the human world, which makes more sense for how it's literally portrayed and how it functions in the story. It's just another universe. Goku would continue to grow even more over the course of the DBS anime and manga, absorbing his multiversal power into his base, unlocking forms dozens to hundreds of times stronger than—
I know about Super Saiyan and like Super Saiyan 2 and 3 and 4, I believe. I don't know what that blue thing is. That is unfamiliar to me.
Super Saiyan God, while battling increasingly powerful—
Wait, did he say it?
Forms dozens to hundreds of times stronger than Super Saiyan God while battling increasingly powerful threats. Unfortunately, like I mentioned before, it doesn't really matter how many times Goku multiplies his power or surpasses his full power in his base form, because that would still be in the low multi to multiversal tier. There are a handful of fringe arguments to potentially get Goku higher, so let's cover those now. During the Goku Black arc, probably the most impressive canon feat in all of Dragon Ball occurs. It's just
Goku Black arc. Is that kind of like Injustice style stuff, or what? What is that?
Just that Goku isn't the one doing it, and it's when Zeno erases future Trunks' timeline. Now, due to the nature of timelines in Dragon Ball, this would actually be a low complex multiversal feat, or 5D. The only issue is that Goku obviously never scales to Zeno's power, and literally no one in Dragon Ball, Angel, God of Destruction, or otherwise. Now, potentially, you could argue that Zamasu was beginning to reach a similar tier of power, as he was beginning to be felt and appear in the present timeline, but he never actually does anything, and this could have just been a hacks ability gained from becoming a universe. Still, given that Goku completely dwarfs Zamasu's power by the Torment of
I think I've been told to watch that fight.
Power, his own strength should be able to do something similar. This might be supported by a handful of statements from guides describing a character's power as beyond the dimension or superdimensional, which arguably might mean 5D as well, but usually within context, dimensions just means literally alternate dimensions rather than higher mathematical spatial ones. So overall, Goku has been a
Alternate worlds, I guess, is what he means. Instead of, whereas dimensions is like third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, and alternate worlds is just like people get those two things confused.
casual multiverse buster for essentially a decade at this point, and since then he's grown massively stronger to the point where he is almost unrecognizable compared to his former self. But
Really?
is the Saiyan raised on Earth strong enough to take on Superman?
That's not the end, right? Okay, no, we got more. I was about to say, though, I didn't know how powerful Goku gets throughout his arc. I didn't realize it was quite that much.
The unfortunate truth is that there is really no amount of good faith interpretation that allows Goku to beat Superman. Superman not only has the benefit of
I thought he was going to say nothing could tell us who's going to beat who, but he's saying that he can't beat. I don't know. I just heard some crazy stuff, man.
Essentially more than twice the history of Goku from a pure time standpoint, but also benefits from literally thousands of other comic stories that flesh out the absolute gargantuan scale of the DC cosmos.
Okay. Let's take away Goku. In Goku's world, is there somebody that can beat Superman? Is there a god or something that's more powerful than Superman in Goku's world? Because Goku's always fighting all kinds of crazy things. Like, is there? If there is, let me know who it is and who would beat Superman out of Goku's world. Also, let me know if you think that, this is crap and Goku could absolutely do it.
Cosmology that he's not even in. Something a singular guidebook page from a Daizenshu couldn't possibly hope to match. Even supremely lowballing the DC cosmology and treating the 5th and 6th dimensions as literally the mathematical 5th and 6th dimension, even though they're pretty explicitly not, Superman is still able to shatter the 6th dimension, which is an entire dimensional tier over the
What? No, that doesn't make any sense. The mathematical 6th dimension would be beyond time, beyond space. It would be like you would have the ability to perceive somebody at the youngest of age and the oldest of age all at once. You would be able to, if you wanted to, you could touch them as on the foot as a baby, and then touch them on the head as an old person at the same time. Like it. That makes no sense. This is when people are just writing things. It's driving me nuts. I'm not a very smart guy, but I do enjoy talking about the theory of dimensions very much, and this is driving me nuts.
High-end 5D low complex multiversal Goku. This analysis has only focused on power, but in pretty much every other metric, Superman consistently has Goku beat. Speed feats and consistent speed scaling, Superman blitzes. Hacks abilities, Goku doesn't have anything Superman hasn't seen before, and the stat difference leaves no opportunity for conditional victory.
Does Goku not have anything Superman hasn't seen before? I don't know. Learning about Goku's been pretty fun, guys. They merge forms and all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. He could merge forms with Darkseid. You know what I'm saying?
Goku might be a more skilled martial artist than Superman, but Superman has come across an
what do y'all call that? The ding. You know that thing? What is that called?
Been trained by fighters like Batman, who are even better fighters than Goku is. Now, not being able to beat Superman is not a massive L for Goku or anything. Very few characters across all of fiction have a chance against Superman, and that's okay. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my members.
Guys, let me know if you want to watch any more of his videos. Also, don't forget, I've been asking a lot. A lot of y'all want me to react to the first episode of Dragon Ball. I may just do that, and also, I should be reacting pretty soon this Sunday, I think, to the abridged Dragon Ball Z, the first episode. So stay around for that. Remember, guys, like Superman, live humbly, do good.